Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Weekly Reset. My name's Evitel, and this is Taliesin.
Hi everyone.
Great, so we're just going to get started now with some questions. Taliesin, you ready?
Yeah, great.
Great, okay. So, hey guys, I was wondering if you guys had any plans for your Halloween episode of the Weekly Reset. Maybe dress in Halloween costumes for the skit at the beginning. Your Diva and Matt Murdock costumes were great last year, and it would be fun to see what you come up with this time around. And that question is from Jahan from Argent Dawn.
Okay, so we're not going to be doing Halloween costumes this year. We thought about it, and I know lots of people are really keen that we do it again this year, and we decided that this is a show, it's a news show, and we think it works just fine as it is without any costumes or jokes or gimmicks or just any fun at all, really.
Yeah, I was playing on my shaman the other day, and I think I noticed something that pretty much backs up your point.
Do you even listen to what I was saying?
Okay, great. Will Khadgar be dressing up for Halloween?
Oh yeah, sure. Khadgar will be dressing up, sure.
Great. Time for the next question then. Bellinar asks, will we ever get legacy servers? What do you think about that, Taliesin? Taliesin? Okay, great. Let's get on with the show.
Knowledge is power.
Plenty to talk about this week, which I'll admit is something of a surprise since it is now less than 1 week until Blizzcon 2017, with all the announcements, reveals and news that come with it. This week beforehand is supposed to be quieter than the Wildstar LFG channel. Actual real-life news is supposed to be so thin on the ground this week that we thought we were going to have to make a video on speculation about the expansion after next or something like that. Don't laugh, okay? Just remember, every new video is one less family murdered in their beds. But no, actually, there's been plenty, relatively, to get our teeth into, including some pretty legit data mining concerning next expansion's playable races and mounts, which we will come to in a moment, after we've covered our main story, patch 7.3.2. Because it's here! You're playing it right now! Happy 732, everyone! Hey, what's your favourite thing about patch 7.3.2? Because for me, it's... I can't tell you just one thing, because there's just so much, you know? Okay, fine, so 732 is such a non-event that Blizzard didn't even really bother telling anyone when it went live, and to be honest, hardly anyone noticed when it did, except Windwalkers. Windwalkers always notice. So 732 holds the honour of being the only patch this entire expansion which someone, somewhere, hasn't referred to as the biggest patch in the history of World of Warcraft, because it's really genuinely not, you know. As we said last week, it's all back-end stuff and hotfixes. The real fun comes with the final major raid of Legion, Antorus, the Burning Throne, when that opens up in, 2 resets time? I'm gonna say the reset after BlizzCon. Call me crazy. Because with that, of course, comes not only the raid itself, but the aftermath of the raid in Silithus, which, don't worry, we're not going to spoil here because we did all that last week. But needless to say, one of the only changes that players might notice of 732 so far is the fact that our old friend Zidormi has just appeared in Silithus. Just hanging around, you know, like she does in the Blasted Lands, where you can talk to her to switch between the original Blasted Lands and the WoD Blasted Lands. Except obviously, there's nothing for her to switch between in Silithus yet, is there? No spoilers, is there?
One interesting and apparently undocumented change that came with the patch was the fact that a number of mount-dropping rare spawns appear. And remember, this is undocumented, so I can only say appear here. Is that clear? Appear to have had their spawn times upped quite generously, like Poundfist and Gorgrond, who drops the Sunhide Grondling, which the people who pay attention to these things tell me is now on a 6 to 8 hour respawn timer, to which I said, excellent news, and was just about to go and farm that bad boy before I realized that 6 to 8 hours I'd have to spend in Gorgrond.
Gorgrond.
And then I thought, you know what? I probably don't need the Sunhide Grondling. Really? Do I? How many Gronlings does one woman need after all? But even bigger news than that is this change also appears to cover Poseidus and Vashir, who drops the subdued seahorse mount for all your underwater needs, which who knows might come in handy if the next expansion is largely based around water and the sea and stuff, just saying. And people who notice this sort of thing reckon Poseidus is also now on a 6 to 8 hour timer, so all you have to do is go to Vashir for 6 to 8 hours. And you know what, actually now I think about it, I probably don't need the seahorse thing, really, do I? It's fine. Honestly. And even more exciting than that was the revelation that the Fellblaze Infernal mount can now drop from Gul'dan and LFR Nighthold. And this is some mount news I can get behind because it's current, it's not in some horrific zone that brings back terrible memories of expansions I don't like thinking about, and I don't think I was the only one who was pretty excited about this mount being considerably easier and more efficient to farm. And I don't think I was the only one who was pretty disappointed when it turned out that the entire thing was a massive mistake, and actually it wasn't supposed to drop from Gul'dan and LFR, and now it no longer drops from Gul'dan and LFR. GG.
And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking about the forums, aren't you? You're thinking how the player base might have reacted to having an awesome mount offered to them on a plate and then snatched away again like that in a hotfix just a day later. And I don't blame you for thinking about that, but no, we will not be talking about it here. Because also getting some attention in the hotfix were Windwalker Monks, or to give them their proper title, poor Windwalker Monks, who get a flat 15% damage aura buff, to go with all the other damage aura buffs they've stacked up this expansion to try and disguise the fact that they scale worse than a London kettle. In fact, at this point, Windwalker Monks are more aura than actual monk, but that doesn't matter, because a buff is a buff, and this is a buff, right? Well, not quite, no, because to even that out, their current tier set bonus is getting nerfed, so actually overall it's a 5% nerf in real terms. And the Windwalker Antorus tier bonuses are a little bit shit, so it's not going to get any better when the raid opens either. Oh, poor Windwalker Monks. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking about the forums again, aren't you? You're thinking, well, the monks won't take that lying down. I bet it was pandemonium on there. And you may well be right, but we're not going to talk about that either. Because also, with 732 came the legendary tokens. Tokens that get given to your character when they already have every legendary they can possibly get, which are bind on account and can be sent to alts. Which, as answers to first world problems go, is the WoW equivalent of a special mesh that you put over your craft lager homebrew so you don't accidentally drop any cracked avocado into it. Like, if your problem is that you have all of the legendaries you can possibly get, then you don't really have any problems, do you? Or so you would have thought. These legendary tokens are completely random, which means that once your priest has already got every single legendary it's possible for a priest to get, you might get a druid legendary token for your druid ult, which is great. Unless you don't have a druid ult, in which case it's useless. But it's no more useless than nothing, which is what you'd have gotten before. Or, maybe you do have a druid ult, in which case it's great news. Maybe it will inspire you to start a druid ult, which you might really enjoy. But I know what you're thinking. You're thinking about the forums. Because even though this is something that only affects the smallest percentage of players, even though it's almost completely good news for those people, you know what those forums are like, don't you? Me too. But you're wrong. Because actually, the community surprised me here. Generally, people totally appreciate that in the unlikely event that they would ever receive one of these tokens, that's a bonus reward that they wouldn't have got before, and even if they can't use the token they get, it doesn't really matter, does it? After all, they haven't lost anything, and they're still in a pretty privileged position when it comes down to... No, it was a shit show. Obviously. Well, that's a slap in the tits. Blizzard is out of control, folks. They've gone full-blown casino. It's an idiotic system to complement an already idiotic system. Go figure. I am now dreading getting legendaries again. Thanks. Just because a turd is painted orange doesn't mean you should be groveling in thanks. Actually, I quite like that last one. And there is a part of me that can see their point. Like, if you have every possible legendary for every spec for your class, then yes, I believe that you have no ults. And a rogue legendary token is indeed going to be useless to you. But the reasons it's random are so obvious, surely. I mean, it's Legion, of course, but also, Blizzard aren't going to let you choose which class you get the tokens for, because that would make playing your main a more efficient way of getting legendaries for your ult than actually playing your ult. And that's clearly bad. And another thing, you know how every now and then someone suggests an inheritance tax on properties worth, like, I don't know, more than $2 million or something, and the news reporters will go out and interview people on the street who all say it's a terrible idea and that the government is stealing from them. And you look at those people and you think, I don't want to be rude here, but I'm pretty sure that this law is never going to apply to you, That's how I feel about a lot of the people complaining about this. So I think I'll leave it there and move on to something much more important because it involves me, Taliesin, being right. Because there has been some pretty compelling data mining this week, which we need to talk about regarding the next expansion. And straight away, I want to say that it kind of feels a bit silly talking about this now for two reasons. One, the fact that in less than a week, we will already know what the next expansion is and whether this data mining was correct or not, and the fact that the news is pretty much a week old. Our show comes out on a Saturday, this news hit on a Sunday, so I appreciate we're not just late to the party here. We've arrived late to the party, drunk and singing and in fancy dress, and no one told us that the party was actually awake. But fuck it, I want to talk about this anyway. So Ian Bates, aka Red Shirt Guy, posted an article on BlizzPlanet based on info noticed by user K Rule on MMO Champion that seems to suggest that we will be getting 4 new playable sub-races next expansion. High Mountain Tauren, Lightforged Draenei, Nightborn Elves for Blood Elves, and the intriguingly named Void Elves for Night Elves. These aren't playable races themselves, but more customization options for existing races. So far, so fake MMO Champion Expansion League, right? But I'm of the opinion if Red Shirt Guy thinks it's legit, then the very least I can do is not dismiss it out of hand, you know? Now, of course, with the exception of the Void Elves, all of these models exist in the game files already because they exist as NPCs. But what's interesting about these ones is that they have character select screen backgrounds associated with them, which obviously NPCs don't because you can't select them as your character. This information from this source, this close to BlizzCon, has to be taken at least semi-seriously. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Taliesin, how were you so right? How did you predict months ago not only sub-races, but little details like Night Elves having the option that lets them use Blood Elf models as it looks like Void Elves will be? And that's a good question, I'm glad you asked. My answer is, it's no big deal. Just add it to the list of stuff that I'm already totally right about. Seriously, it's no big deal, move on. I mean, I say it was no big deal, but look, we were so ahead of things with our predictions that the reason we couldn't release a video in the week covering this is because it would have felt stupid, because we've already done 2 videos on this subject in the last 3 months. A third would have just been stupid. I obviously think this is a real thing. Look, I mean, here's some writing on a spreadsheet that proves it, okay? How can you doubt the spreadsheet thing? Look how technical it looks. That's science right there, and you can't argue with science. And the fact is, I'd be very surprised if this turns out not to be true. Although, having said that, I've got a sneaky suspicion that Blizzard are going to surprise us more than we're giving them credit for on Friday. Here is a prediction. These aren't the only 4 sub-race options. There's going to be a whole ton of other sub-races in the new expansion, and the reason these are in the files right now is these particular 4 are going to be playable at BlizzCon in the Warcraft demo booths. That's my prediction.
Speaking of data mining, a new pet and mount have been found in the beta files, presumably intended for the mystery new expansion, which won't be a mystery in a day or 2 now. Neither of these 2 have models that we can show you, but their names might just provide some clues as to what the mystery expansion might be. The pet is Tuttle, who's listed as a Tortolin, and if you don't know what a Tortolin is, well, they don't exist in Warcraft yet, but they do exist in Hearthstone, where they look like this. And the pet is the Sea Braid Stallion, which again is quite an evocative name, as is Before the Storm, which is currently listed as the name of Christie Golden's new Warcraft novel due for release in May 2018. So, we have storms, we have tortoises, and we have Sea Braid Stallions. I'm not making any predictions here, okay, but it doesn't sound like 8.0 is going to be a space-themed expansion, you know? And anyway, we'll know in 8 hours or something.
We will. We're going to know really, really soon, because in just a matter of days, Evitel.
Oh, I know.
Just little hours.
I'm counting down. Counting down.
How's the countdown going?
Yeah,
is it a really good countdown? It's
really
precise.
good.
That's how we do things on this channel, no mucking around.
Yes.
We're going to be on a jet plane.
We are.
Flying, being terrified of dying in a massive violent fireball in the air.
Yeah.
And then eventually we're going to get to Anaheim.
Because it's all worth it.
Exactly, for BlizzCon.
Hey.
And then we'll know. But I realised as we were doing that bit that I've made a whole video, Taliesin Talks, about my predictions. Setting it down in stone so everyone can laugh at me when I'm really wrong. We've never really asked you what your predictions are specifically for the next expansion.
My predictions.
Picture the scene.
Yes.
Okay, we're there in the Anaheim Convention Centre.
Yeah.
In the main hall. We've just had Mike Morheimer's come on for the opening ceremony. Well, what a year it's been. And we're like, yeah, Mike, we love you. We've just had an hour of talking solidly about Overwatch and how it's the best game in the entire world.
And we nodded.
Yeah,
and we smiled,
were like, Overwatch is really good. Thanks, Mike. And then Ian comes strutting on stage and he's all like, you know how he does when he knows he's got something good to say?
He's got a little smile on his
What if
face.
he comes on stage like this? Like, and everyone in the hall is just like, you forgot the new expansion. You forgot to make a new one. So concerned about Silithus and Argos. Where's the new expansion? And he's like tossing out coins with rainbows coming out of them and shit like that. And then he gets down to the meat and bones of it.
Yeah.
Which is the new expansion. What do you predict for the new expansion?
What do I predict?
What do you
What's
predict?
the big thing?
What is Evitel talks?
Okay.
Evitel emotes.
How long do I have?
You have 5 hours. Go.
Well, I think there's going to be water. Yeah.
So are you saying like Ashara and stuff like that? Would you expect to see Queen Ashara, the queen of the Sharas?
Possibly. Possibly. I do expect we will see Jaina, who's my queen.
Yeah. In the water?
She's in the water. I think she's going to be on a boat. And I think they're going to be boats. Well, I have to agree with your idea that our boats become these kind of like travel points, like a bit like the Vindicar. And I think there will be island hopping, and I think there will be like clear blue crystal waters.
I hope so.
And I think there will be like sunshine.
Yeah.
Basically like Ratchet or whatever, but upgraded.
Yeah.
And Booty Bay, and like I want a little more of that.
Yeah.
But with like a slightly different flavor, and I do think that is going to be part of the theme.
Okay, right. So finally, a name for the new expansion. What's it going to be?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
Do you know what I think it's going to be called?
What's it going to be called?
Wrath of Ashara.
Oh?
Yeah, I think it's going to be called Wrath, and I think they're going to call it Wrath of Ashara, so that when everyone says, oh, my favourite expansion was Wrath, they can be like, what a year it's been! Everybody says that Wrath is their favourite expansion! I think we nailed it, guys! I'm Mike Morheim!
Oh, okay. Or like Wrath of the Panda Crusade.
I see what you've done there. Wrath of the Panda Crusade of Draenor.
Guys, we have a great expansion to announce.
Okay, maybe a bit early a bit late for 8.0, but I'm thinking, look, if Bellylar can do a video about 9.0, we can do a video about 9.0.
You know what? Let's go to 10. Let's go to 10.
Wrath of the Panda Crusade of Draenor. Be amazing. And the baddie,
Cataclysm.
the main baddie is called Vanilla.
I got it. Okay, bye. I'm done.
Subs,
this is
20 million.
Yeah.
12. Oh, what a year it's been. Thank you for joining us today. If you did enjoy this video, don't thank us. Thank our patrons who give their actual real-life money to help make this channel exist and keep these videos a-flowing.
Yeah,
So
keep them coming.
Thanks for the flow, guys.
Thanks for the flow.
If you didn't like the video, downvote the shit out of it. Remember, my name is the Grumpy Warlock. No, my name is Taliesin.
And I'm Evitel.
And until next time, at BlizzCon,
Woo!
cheerio.